Hello everybody, this is Anuj Tripathi and you are watching the Review Universe aka TRU podcast. So today we are on the podcast we have joined by Casseline Jean, author of Undefeated, a deeply moving and emotional honest exploration of healing, self-discovery and personal growth. This book is not just a story, it's a reflection. Through the dual perspective of Amara and Ilya, Kathleen brings forward the voices we often don't hear enough. Those who are silently healing, unlearning survival patterns, and learning how to choose themselves again. Undefeated reminds us the healing not just gendered, but silence often it is. It explores love, loss, emotional wounds, and the quiet strength it takes to rebuild from within. Today we are diving into the journey of healing and the weight of unspoken emotions, what it truly means to become whole again. So, Kathleen, welcome to the show.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. My name is Casseline Jean. And as he mentioned, yes, this book is for a large audience, which are parents, people who are in relationships as far as marriage, even if it's not marriage, boyfriends, girlfriends. And I would recommend it to like young adults too.
Yeah.
Um, because mainly what I would like to describe for the book, um, mental health is something very important.
Hmm.
And not everyone can experience or have the same trauma as someone else, but it exists. And sometimes it is created in the home where they're being raised, or where parents are, they have their differences and it affects the child. So now these children end up growing up saying, okay, my mom and dad wasn't in the same house, or my parents always fought, and they build these habits. And now it reflects on their behavior as adults, or now, because of certain experience for a young girl in school, she loses her self-worth, and she goes from cycles to cycles in relationships, not knowing her value. And aside from relationships, we also have other dynamics in life that cause these things. So I wrote this book because men and women can learn and see other people's experiences and reflect and say, I deserve better. Maybe I should start giving myself more. Maybe I need to love myself more. So that's what I really wrote the book about.
Okay, so Kathleen, what inspired you to write Undefeated, like your book? Was there any personal moment or experience behind the story?
Yes, most definitely. I can say I am Amara. I can say there are a lot of Amaras out there, and being a parent, um, before I got engaged, I was raising my son with the support of my parents and also working two jobs, um, where his father wasn't involved. So I've learned to love myself and also protect him. So there are certain experiences or certain, I don't want to ruin it for the readers if they are going to read it or do read it. I can say there's times I use examples in the book that I've been through. So I know in life, when you have a story, it's best to share it because you don't know what impact you can make in someone's life.
Exactly. Okay, so the title itself is powerful, like Undefeated. Okay, so what does being undefeated mean to you emotionally, not just externally?
Emotionally, sometimes in life, as I mentioned, relationships can drain you. It can like kill every single, especially when you're in love or if you experience it first love. Sometimes those are the hardest type of love. you know and with mental illness and mental health being priority out there, even though we certain times neglect it, um undefeated is not allowing depression to take over you, not allowing suicidal thoughts to take over you. Like, it's like defeating every single negative obstacle that can come your way. And when you do, when you know what's real self love, real self worth, and you apply boundaries, self awareness, you are now undefeated. Of course, in life, there will still be obstacles in the way, but once you practice self love, undefeated is what you'll become.
Yeah. Okay. So the book is told through like Amara and Ilya's perspective. So why was it important for you to tell both a feminine and masculine healing in journey?
As a woman, I know what it's like to endure certain things, especially motherhood. And in the story, Amara does have a child, so it's hard raising a little human being without guidance, you know. You just have to make sure this child is safe, this child is loved, this child get the attention it needs. And that's for Amara's part. But for Elijah part, men go through things too. And we women, we like to hold men accountable for certain things in life. And despite the fact that they have their own personal trauma in their younger years, they still have to be strong as men because that's the title we give them, in a sense of he becomes a husband, he has to be a provider, he has to be a protector. But you don't know what happens in these relationships where sometimes us women we talk a lot, um, and that can affect their mental health, that can affect many other things they endured that just piles up on top of it. You'll see a lot of men that have the strong character,
Yep.
they don't know how to vent, they don't know how to open up, they just bottle everything up. And I feel like men needs to be heard too, because it shouldn't matter if it's a female or a male. The mindset is very important when it comes to communication.
Got it. Okay. So Ilya's voice in highlights something rarely discussed, like men who were taught to carry everything but not to heal. Why this is important for you to include? Like you can just skip that part as well.
Elijah, I have male friends and I've encountered, because this is a story based on every experience where someone has vented to me, where someone felt like they can trust me and tell me certain things. I've met a lot of men who actually have some real tough life experience, and those tough life experience shouldn't define them by certain categories. Oh, he's a narcissist or he's manipulative, you know? It's something that taught that person to become who they are today. Maybe it's a form of protection, you know? Because every time they opened up to someone, somebody probably betrayed them, you know? So Elijah went through a lot, even in his young teenage years. Um, and even in relationship, Elijah met women who cheated on him, who abused him, who physically abused him. Men go through these things too. And I wanted to give Elijah a voice. Um, so that way men are human beings that need to be heard too.
Okay, I got it. So you talk about unlearning survival patterns. So what are some common patterns people don't even realize they are carrying?
One thing I can say to answer that question, sometimes having a good heart can get you hurt, you know, and not learning to say no when it's necessary, you know. So there's patterns where someone say, okay, I'm going to put myself first. I'm going to put myself first. And because they're so caring and they don't, ideally, there's people out there who don't like people suffering, you know, and no matter how many times they said they're not going to do it, they end up doing it because of their heart. Sometimes your heart can put you in situations that causes you to suffer, you know? So it's like The more you don't respect your nose, the more likely it is for you to repeat these patterns. And it will end up with only you being hurt, you getting bruised, you getting abused, you getting mistreated. Um, so when you learn to say no, when you're assertive, and your yes and no's, there's certain patterns in life you won't repeat. Because one example I can give, you can tell your child, hey, don't touch the stove. The pot is hot.
Yeah.
And then the child said, no, mom, I won't touch it. Soon as you leave, they touch the pot. So what happens? They get burned. So if that happens occasionally, it's because there's a lesson that haven't been learned. So that's patterns you don't repeat when it comes to self-love. Because once you put that into place, there's certain things in life you won't have to endure.
Okay, so like healing is often romanticized, but your book feels raw and honest. What does real feeling actually looks like?
Real healing, and I can say from experience, because as an author and as a woman, I can say healing is something that you have to do for yourself. No one can do it for you, you know? And when you come to a point of healing, there's certain things that won't phase you anymore. Sometimes people get really sensitive to negative feedbacks. You will be able to take it, not
Yeah.
personally, but in a way of growth. Healing comes from a place where you want more peace than chaos, not like knowing your standards, knowing your boundaries, knowing when to say no, knowing when to say this is enough, you know? Because when you heal, there's certain experience you don't want to relive. And
Okay.
once you know peace, you already know there's nothing better than peace, you know? You will always have other factors in life, but when you finally heal from a place that is extremely broken, there's there's certain things you're gonna crave in life that requires you to want more peace. That's how I can describe my healing. I had to let a lot of things go, and even if it came to like family, even if it came to like close friends, if I reflect on how they made me feel, the words they said, I said, I can't grow raising a son, teaching him that this is the right way because just because they're family or just because you have a relationship. Sometimes it's okay to cut certain people off to focus and heal physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, because that's only something you can do for yourself. Anyone can read this book, but they will know exactly when it's time to let go of certain things. They will know exactly when it's time to end a phase and choose their healing journey.
Okay, so most of the times people get confused between like healing and distracting themselves from the exact emotions. Okay, so how does someone know that they are truly healing and not just distracting themselves?
Now, distraction comes from hobbies. When you have hobbies, when you're going to school, you're going to work, or you just want to get your mind off things because um, you just want to stay busy so you don't think about them, or so you don't repeat certain behaviors. But as I mentioned, when you're healing, you will know because inside of you will want peace. Anything that comes to disturb you, you will know this is not for me. And it's a long journey because there's sometimes people will use I'm healing as a distraction. So they go back out. Maybe they think they're ready to be in public again, or maybe they think they're ready to date. And what happens is the person make one mistake and this person find themselves, oh, I don't deserve this. Life is about chances, you know? And you can't heal in one day, 2 days, a week, a year. It healing is a process because we know Rome wasn't built in one day. So it's an experience you have to keep having, but you will know where you're fully healed, because your tolerance for certain things will be different. Your mindset will be different. You have a more positive aura towards life. That's how
Okay.
I can describe the two.
Okay. So, like, why is healing considered or often a lonely journey that you have to just go and find yourself alone?
One thing I can say is in this world, we were born alone and eventually we're going to die alone. And certain journeys, you have to do it alone. And once you realize that you are your own best friend, because to heal, you have to know yourself. You have to know what you love. You have to know what you like. Sometimes, as we're growing up as young adults, sometimes we want to fit in because that's the crowd we have.
Exactly.
Sometimes, like, you have to love and know yourself. Until you don't really know yourself, you can't heal. You have to know what really makes you happy. Yes, we know the basics of ourselves, like our favorite colors, our favorite TV show, our favorite ice cream, but deep down, it's an internal knowledge that you need. When you know yourself deep down inside, that's where the healing begins. Because one thing I can say, there is a lot of confusion, and most people don't like being alone. Some people, they're going to the mall, they want someone to come with them. You have to enjoy your loneliness sometimes. And it's not a crime. It's not a crime to sit down and reflect. It's not a crime to sit down and talk to yourselves. Some people think talking to yourself is crazy, but I feel like most people who talk to themselves have a better way of thinking. Those conversations happened already before it actually took place with someone else. So if you can't be your own friend, it's going to be hard for you to accept anyone in your life.
That's great. That's deep. Okay. So, can someone love somebody while they are still healing, or it just distraction again?
It can be a distraction and it can happen because we're humans. It does happen. While you're healing, you're also learning to love because to love, you have to learn, you know? Like, you don't just fall in love because he's handsome or he looks good or he's everything you like in a guy. You learning him just like he's learning you. And while you're learning him, you also need to learn yourself. Okay. Does this guy meet my requirements? Because those are questions us women, we forget to ask ourselves. We have that 3 month dating rule where it's always the honeymoon phase. And after the honeymoon phase, we forget to put in the work, not only in the relationship, but in ourselves. Like, you get so wrapped up in the idea of I found the one, but you forget to continue working on yourself while you find that one, you know? So it's like you can heal and be in love, but you must also love yourself more in that relationship before you fully love someone, you know?
Got it.
And that's the act of healing. Not saying you don't love that person a lot, but you have to love yourself more than that person. And that's a way of healing. So when this person see, wow, my woman takes care of herself daily, it doesn't matter what we're doing throughout the day, she always take time to read, and I know she loves reading, and she always take time to go out with her friends. You create habits in that relationship that even when you're married, this person know this is what you love and this is what makes you happy. Because sometimes in relationships, because we get so busy in life, we forget to take care of ourselves. We forget that we love reading and we just want to please, please, please our partners. So at that moment, if you were already in something traumatic, You're entering this new relationship hoping whatever happened in the last one is not going to happen, but you forget yourself in the process.
Oh, that's kind of uh, a thing that we can think of as well. Like everybody can take some knowledge from that and take some advice and try to like rethink their relationships, their daily routines as well. Okay. Okay. So the next question is like, is being strong sometimes the biggest barrier or to healing? What's your point on that?
No. Being strong, I think being strong is something that we think we have to be. But from me personally, my experience, sometimes weakness was something that I was okay with, you know? Weakness gave me a chance to be vulnerable, to cry, to let it out, you know? Sometimes you can't always be strong. Sometimes you're going to break and it's okay. And I feel like in the book with those two characters, there were moments where they both were broken. They both were broken. They both were lonely. They both had to deal with things that taught them to be strong even when they were weak, you know? So, what I can say, strength is something that we create in our mind, even if our body isn't feeling as strong. You know, there's days, let's take an example. You can go to the gym like 5 days a week, right?
Yeah.
Even though you know on the fourth day, let's take, for example, for guys, leg days are like very common for men. Even if they know they spent the whole day walking and limping, they know they have one more day of the gym left and they have to go.
Exactly.
So the mindset is what keeps us going, even if the body feels like it can't. And that's where I can differentiate the strength we give ourselves even through traumatic experience. It's like our body saying, I don't know how much of this can I take. Maybe it's best to just end my life. That's what the body feels overall from all it experienced. But the mindset says it's not over, you know? So it depends on how the person defines stress.
Okay, got it. The book talks about choosing yourself after pain. So why is self-worth often discovered only after the loss?
And it shouldn't be that way. Pain can come in every dynamic form. It can be losing both parents. It doesn't have to be like relationship. It can just be, let's just take like, there's many experiences in life. There are children who are raised without parents in their lives. They don't have that educational support. They've probably been through multiple foster homes with different personality, you know? But if this child is observant, this is why self-awareness is important in the book. If this child is observant and this child know, okay, I've been through this home, that home, this home. The only way I can save myself is by finishing school, having a degree, and becoming stable, you know? Sometimes pain is the only thing that can teach us what we can no longer take, you know? And there's pain that comes with deep wounds that can mess up the mindset for years after years after years, you know? But when you love yourself, when you see others around you, because it doesn't have to particularly be you. You can live an experience through someone else. Like it can be a close friend. Wow, why is Lisa going through so much? I wish there was a way I can help her. You know, that pain can affect someone else too. And the only way you can possibly help Lisa is saying, Why don't you move? Why don't you come live with me? You know, it's an act of love. Love comes in all forms. You know, this is why in life we need to support each other, because you don't have to be going through the pain. But if this person is special to you, this person is important to you, you won't, that pain that they're feeling is going to affect you somehow, some way, and it's going to cause an act of love. I feel like in this world, there's not enough love, you know? Um,
Like
and
I have a question in this as well. So like, do you believe like love can exist without self-awareness?
do I believe love can exist without self awareness?
Yeah,
Huh. I would say no, in my opinion.
because you are just like pleasing your partners. That's it.
Yeah, like love cannot exist without self awareness. We are created in love, by love. So if there's no love, how can something grow? You know, it's
Exactly.
like a garden. It's like a garden. You want your plants to grow. You have to continue giving it the proper love, watering it, sunlight. Love is it's an act of doing. It's an act of showing. You know, so I would have to say no. And this is why I say it's not enough love in the world. It's a lot of hurt people out there. And I always say this to like my siblings or a friend or family. I say, your experience is your experience, but you cannot keep bleeding on people that didn't cut you, you know? Like this person hurt you 3 years ago, but that doesn't mean because that person hurt you 3 years ago, you enter something new, something solid. Sometimes in life, we can meet someone that can actually truly love us, but because they haven't healed, they end up hurting that person that was actually sent to help them love themselves.
Okay. So moving towards the last questions of the
Okay.
podcast. So who is this book for actually? Like, is it for someone who currently healing or someone who hasn't started yet?
This book is for both. It's for both because the only way we can learn is through experience. And I believe with the experiences that I shared between both characters in the book, it can be used as a female. Remember, there is a lot of Amaras out there. I'm not the only one. There's probably several chapters of Amara that I've been in, you know? And I know for men, there's probably several chapters for Elijah that they've been in. Um, I feel like it's for both. It depends on how you use the experience, how you use the knowledge that is written in the book. Um, because I want to let people know that healing is possible. Even if you haven't started, even if you're on your way there, it is possible. But healing only comes from loving yourself more. As I mentioned, you can't walk around bleeding on people that didn't cut you. Like, that's why for the hardcover of the book, I do have a section in the back, all the way in the back of the book, where it's like a sacred place. You can finish read the book. Some people who really love to read, they might get emotional. I'm a very emotional person. So they can use that space to probably write the deepest, darkest secret that they've never shared with absolutely no one, or write something that actually hurt them to the core that they never spoke about, because the best form of healing is communication, you know? It doesn't only come from love, self awareness. Once you learn how to release certain things, like you have to release those things. And I've learned to release through many distractions. It's in a form of gym, it's in a form of music, it's a form of writing. I would say writing is my favorite.
And writing
I
to
would
yourself is much more secret.
exactly have a journal. It's okay. You have a journal and keep it for yourself. And anytime you feel upset, it can be throughout the week. You write once a week, twice a week, every day. You know, it healing is a journey. It's not made to happen when you think you're ready. Sometimes you think you're ready and you're not, you know? And what's going to teach you that you're not ready is an experience, because the experience is our best teacher.
What do you hope readers will feel when they finish this book?
I hope readers can feel relief. Readers can feel um hmm, how when I read the book, I felt shaken. I felt shaken. Although I wrote it, but after I wrote it, I read it, I felt a little depressed and I felt a little happy. I had a mix of emotions because after reading it myself, I relived those experiences, you know, like the personal ones that I know. I relived it. I hope the readers can have like a great and a positive self-reflection, you know, for the ones who've had trauma, for the ones who's been heartbroken, for the ones who had to raise the child by themselves, for the one who has kids but that can't see their child. You know, I hope whoever reads this book can have a strong self-reflection on how this is how I'm feeling. But the little human being I'm raising, I hope one day they don't have to feel this way. They can openly just communicate. I hope my readers can have strength and courage where they never had before to speak up
Uh,
or to join a group or to write more or go back and start doing what they love. I hope it can create a positive change in my readers.
Okay. So, thank you so much, Kathleen, for joining us for the podcast. So, everybody who is watching this podcast or listening on Spotify, you can just go to the description. All the links of the book and the social media links of Kathleen will be there. You can just follow her and give your feedback to her by reading the book, and whatever you want to suggest and give some feedback so that she can know what she will be writing next. We will be seeing some other writings as well. So thank you so much, Kathleen, for
Thank